Hello. Thanks for joining.
This is an ad for Hasbro. Okay, guys, so here's the Beyblade Action Extreme Battle Set. It comes with a new Beyblade Stadium with the accelerator rail and 2 knockout zones. It's time to rethink the
Hey, how are you, Lena? You see, we're running into difficulties already. So just hold on a moment, please. So looking forward to this show. Hello. Thank you for joining. Oh, I'll be right back. All right, there's Tamika. Could you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, maybe I need to turn mine up. So I couldn't hear you. No, I had it turned up.
Let me see. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm just waiting on Alexis. I must have sent her the wrong link.
Okay. You can hear me now?
So one moment, please.
Okay. Shirt off.
Let's see this. Okay, she should have been in. I just seen her. Oh, bring her in, add her to the stage. Okay, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. We ask that you like, tag, and share, if you will. Like, tag, and share. Invite someone in. And we promise not to be before you long. I started working again yesterday, and I'll be dog tired when I get home. I'll be dog tired when I get home. So we're so honored and grateful to be in your presence again. This is a new month that we into where we're resetting, restoring, and even rejuvenating. We're getting rejuvenated in this month, if you will, because the atmosphere is getting cooler, where it's not as hot as it has been. But we are so honored to be in your presence tonight. Thank you for joining us, Lena. That's just one. We're on YouTube. We're on Janet Clary page on Facebook, as well as Titus 2 Woman. So we do thank you for joining us and being with us tonight. We have a lot to get in a little bit of time. And so we want to go ahead and start. Tamika, thank you for being with me again.
Thank you for asking me to be here again.
Let me know I can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
See, I can't hear you.
Oh, no.
I can hear Tamika. I can hear
Alexis.
I can hear Tamika.
And I
Tamika,
can't hear Alexis.
Oh, wow.
I was able to hear you, Tamika, at first.
Tamika, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Alexis.
I can't hear either one of you.
Oh, no.
And I was able to hear Tamika before I went out. Lena, can you hear us? Could you comment, please? Well, Tamika, I was able to hear you at first.
Yeah, and I don't know when you went out and came back in.
Not able to hear Alexis at all either. Wow. If someone said today, if it ain't one thing, it's another.
Yeah.
Play that song. That's what I should have played.
Oh,
wow. So ladies, if I can get you to go out and come back in, if you will, let's try that. Wow, Lena can hear everyone. Well, Lena, maybe it's me that need to hush and you hear everybody else. Okay. That's Alexis. Alexis?
Can you hear me?
They say that they can hear you all.
I don't know.
They say that they can hear you all, so maybe I need to go out and come back in.
yeah. I can hear. Can you hear me, Alexis?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to go out and try it again.
Okay. I'm not sure what it is.
Well, she can't have it on mute because then we wouldn't be able to hear her.
Right.
Okay, can you hear me?
We have no problem hearing you.
Okay, listen, they say that they can hear you and Tamika, and so I'm going to be silent and y'all carry the show because we do want them to get what it is that you had to share with them. So I will be able to look on my other phone and hear everything. So, I don't know who's going to take the lead, but let's go for it, okay?
Okay. Alexis, you can start. I hate that she's not going to be able to chime in and it's her show. So.
All right. My topic was basically mental health and the challenges that women face day to day and the different roles that we have to play in life. Being a mother, I'm a fiance, but being a wife, being a daughter, friendships, and having to do a role of, a career, having a career also. So
Right.
we have all these different roles, and with these different roles come in different, diversities coming at us, and how do we maintain and stay, dealing with mental health and everything, just coming, bringing it all back together. So I just wanted to talk about those different roles, and I was sitting down talking to some of my staff members, which are younger ladies and gentlemen, and it's very hard for them to grasp our generation with their generation.
Right.
And to me, we're so tough. Well, my generation, we're so tough, and we can handle different things, but we wasn't prepared for, hey, let's go to therapy, let's go to counseling, let's, those type of things, where this generation is like, oh, my mental health is number one.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I just wanted to talk and maybe get some feedback, or see different ways that we can help our younger generation, or our younger generation can help us. I know self-esteem definitely plays a big role in our kids right now, where they're doing things that's out of this world.
Right.
But giving some information and feedback on mental health with our roles that we play in day-to-day life.
Right. I think that is so important. And then I'm gonna just kind of piggyback on what you said about the younger generation, or Gen Zs, they call them Gen Zs, about mental health, and what my daughter taught me when she was in high school, actually. And we'd have never thought this, but now I actually talk about it in my coaching program, and make it very important that we take a mental health day. So one of the days she was just having like a day where she wasn't all together, and she was like, I wanted to take the day off from school, right? Just being transparent. And I'm old school, so unless you like sick, dying, bleeding, you going to school, right?
Right.
So she went to school. And then we talked a little later. She chatted or was texting, and she was like, I just don't feel right. I'm having a bad day and all of the things. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what should I do? And then I was able to go pick her up. Or if I was at work, I think my brother or someone went to pick her up. And later we talked about it. And then that made me really, really realize how important taking a mental health day is. So now I am an advocate for mental health days at least once a month. I think everybody needs to take a mental health day,
right?
Where you do nothing. But we were all taught, or we came from a background where you had to be strong, and you couldn't show like breakdown, or if you were having a bad day, or you couldn't talk about it, or be transparent about it, or vulnerable about, hey, I'm just not in a good mental health space.
Right.
Yeah. It was frowned upon, I kind of think.
It is. And still kind of now it's kind of frowned upon, where like you tell people, oh, I'm going to therapy, I go to counseling, such and such. Oh, you trust somebody to sit there and tell all your business to, and this and that. But what are we doing to ourselves, just holding it in?
Exactly.
And not getting it out? And like, I don't know, even talking to, I don't know, some people my age and older, they're like, oh no, you don't go tell your business. Well,
Right.
I think having secrets is causing these issues. Where we're just sitting on things.
I feel bad a lot of times when they do that, because I think they don't realize doing that really brings healing to you. And so they live not healed, and you have a certain freedom once you get healed, and you're aware of those things, and you have that therapy and counsel, that you just feel like I'm free from. You don't feel like the pressures or the burdens of certain things, or life, or secrets and stuff. You communicate about a lot more things, but there's a certain freedom, I think, that just comes along with it. And if they understood it or ever tried it, maybe they'd be able to truly experience healing one and that freedom.
I wrote down a couple of things just to break down the different roles that we do play. in day-to-day life. And that's like being a mother, breaking down some challenges, being a mother. I have a son and a daughter. You do too. A son and a daughter. And like with my daughter, my approach has to be totally different than with my son. How I have to approach things, asking them, how was your day? And, what was the challenges that you dealt with today or anything, where some parents are not like seeking that out of their kids and just like, oh, just go out there. Come back,
Right.
So
Right.
like as a mother, what are some of the challenges that you have experienced that you have to like, let's take a step back and see if I handled that situation correctly?
For me, making sure when I give them the voice, because we have a saying in our house, you have a voice but no vote. That I'm actually listening to what they're saying and taking in consideration, and thinking about it before I actually respond to it. Because all the times when they do, and we want them to trust us and be open and talk, that we don't have an immediate response because it's something we don't necessarily agree with. So just because I don't agree with it, I don't want to come at it harshly or make them feel a certain way, but actually have the conversation. And of course, it's trial and error, because a lot of times we miss the mark, or I have missed the mark, but learning from it and going, oh, this is a better way of communicating with them and getting them to open up. And like you say, it is totally different, the boy versus the girl. What you say, what you talk about. Usually, my son has a few words. They're just kind of like, But every once in a while, if it's an engaging conversation, he may open up a little bit more. But for me, I learned that you still have to do it and talk to them and have it, even if they don't necessarily engage you. You should still engage them.
Correct. It was I was picking Maurice up from school, and I don't know, all this stuff has been going on with gun violence and all these, threats and everything. And we was talking, and he was like, well, Mom, like you was pretty like you was scary, like you scared. You scared just raising them up.
Right.
But he came back, he was like, I appreciate that, where like it was a little fear in between, him, where he feared like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that, where he's saying, it's parents out there that just don't care. They don't care enough. But he took it as, oh, my mom's care, she cares, not like, oh, she like so hard on me or anything. And I sat back and I was like, well, I appreciate that, because one thing about it, no, I don't want you out here doing just anything, and I want you to be a leader. I don't want you to be a follower. I don't want you out here getting, mixed up with this different stuff. And I feel with Madison also, I want y'all to be able to come and talk to me. Like, these kids out here are scared to come and talk to their parents. They're more friends than a parent.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's a certain level of respect that you have, and you can be a parent and talk to them without necessarily saying you're their friend, especially when you're raising them. Now, I think the friendship, once they get grown, is a beautiful thing, and that's what it turns into. But while you're young and you're raising them, there is a thin line, and you do have to be careful so they still respect you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. My next was as a wife, and I'm basically preparing myself to be a wife also, but a role that you have to take as being a wife, and dealing with your mental as being a wife. What feedback would you have?
For me, quite a bit. And so when I talked about taking that mental health day, I realized it was very important, just as being not just the mother, but the wife too, because there are certain things I think that we get caught up into when we're talking about the role of the wife. So I thought I always had to be, the hands-on and get it right and do all of the things and be there. And it does take a toll on you mentally. And so without stepping back, going, do I really need to do this, or what's really necessary? And then be able to communicate that. And for a long time, I wasn't able to even communicate that I need to take a break, or, you cook dinner or you do something different, and let me be able to just be quiet and get in that mental space that I needed to be okay for you. So if you're not okay mentally, I think it's hard to be okay or serve everybody else in your house. And so I had to realize, like, hey, I got to take some time for me. And mental health is like so important. And I think a lot of times we put emphasis on when you take a day for yourself, that is, like something outwardly, nails, hair, pedicure and stuff like that, versus something that's going to help you inwardly. And so
Right.
that mental thing is very important. If it's a day of just counsel, if it's a day of chatting, going to sit somewhere and just cry and release. A lot of times we don't release the things that has built up over time, and it's important to release those things. So like you said, the resentment and the stress and all of those things start to bear on your health. Your health, not just your mental health, your physical health.
Yep.
So it's almost like a trickle down if you don't take care of yourself. And for me, being transparent again, like the stress of the mental breakdowns or different things I was going to, my hair started coming out, and shedding. I had spots and all kind of things going on. And so losing weight, it's not healthy. So being healthy overall definitely includes that mental health. Yeah, and I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Friendships. Friendships are very important, especially to us women. We want our girls beside us. We want to have the support of our girls. And I think that's in every aspect of a woman's life. Like, you want your friendship, but sometimes friendships can be just as toxic as relationships.
That's true.
So even having a toxic relationship, dealing with, your mental and you go and you run and tell your girlfriend everything, and your girlfriend giving you that bad, that terrible advice.
Right.
That terrible advice. And even I think I told one of my friends, a bad like friendship breakup is just as worse as
it is
a relationship with somebody where you have to end that relationship. And I think I'm putting myself in this. I'm actually going through something like that, where like we're just not connecting the same way. We're not saying like I'm going above them or anything.
Right.
My elevation is towards like more spiritual, and they're more like, oh, I still want to hang out, I still want to do this or whatever. And I'm like, I'm tired. I can't, do all of that. But then like the guilt come on me, like, oh, I'm not spending time with them, this and that. They don't want to do what I want to do. So it's kind of like taking it's weight on me also, where I'm having to figure out how do I handle moving forward with this relationship.
Right. And it can be just as emotional, you said, especially if you've been friends for a long time and trying to navigate through that. But I think being a true friend is honestly being able to tell them where you are, and that you are doing a little something different. Now, if that breaks up the friendship where you can't necessarily, we can't hang out, but when you need to be, hey, if I need to be here for you, I'm always here, and vice versa. You have that understanding or come to that understanding. I think that's a real friendship or beautiful. Just know that we're going in different directions, and hopefully, you're still there to whatever it is you're learning and growing, that you're able to kick back if they are receptive to it,
right.
Telling them, hey, this is the things that I'm doing, I'm learning, and I want you to grow. Basically, it's about personal growth. Grow as much as I am, and if they're okay with it, they are, and if not, I mean, you have to be okay with it. But it's not something that's easy, or you don't necessarily mourn, or it doesn't hurt your feelings, because it does.
Yeah, it does. It weigh on you just as well. My next was career. Being a Black woman in your career path, and I know with my career, I'm in property management and trying to move into real estate, and just I have to deal with men that don't want to take,
orders.
It is tough And that's all men. Then you have to deal. I have had to deal with white men, or a different race taking um things from me as a woman, and being a Black woman as well. And then even with women, jealousy, dealing with jealousy in the workplace, um just being, oh, I'm very assertive, and then they come at you with, oh, you're attacking me, or you're too aggressive, and this and that, or whatever. And
Right.
just having the different struggles in your workplace, and having to deal with that. Oh, I got to go back here the next day and have to deal with this all over again. Just disrespect. But if you discuss it with someone in the workplace, then like, oh, well, you can't handle it, this and that. No, I'm just asking for feedback. So in a career with, dealing with mental issues, and you think you can go to HR, but HR is not there for you. They're there for the company.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
dealing with with that in a career, how would you handle?
For me, thank God. Well, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because since I worked in women's healthcare for over 20 years, I worked with mainly women. I mean, the outside guys were either the spouses, the boyfriends, or
Right.
reps or something that we had come in the office. But like you say, it could be the same thing. I think the most important thing for that, well, for me, was everybody learning that I was the same across the board regardless, and I set boundaries up front. And if I missed something, I didn't want them to take it a certain way. So then I'll go back and go, oh no, this is wrong. Now let me set this boundary. But setting boundaries up front and making sure everything is black and white, and really no gray areas as much as you can. And so they know that you're going to be the same for this decision versus that decision if you talk to her or him or whoever.
Right.
And a lot of times, people either think, oh, you're taking sides, or you're not fair and all of that. But I think if you pretty much from the get-go, if you go, look, I'm fair across the board, and I'm gonna be this way with everybody regardless, I think you kind of earn a respect there, if they like it or not. They're not gonna always like it, but they would at least respect it. So if you have respect in the workplace, I think that's the most important thing.
Right.
You're always gonna have those struggles, because it's gonna be somebody that disagree, or
that just disagree, or don't
don't
like you, no matter what.
Right.
I saved the last one, which is family. Where we have to deal with different, as being a woman, and dealing with family members, or inside family, your close family. Just breaking out, like you just said, boundaries with family members, and just your mental, because I think that will probably be like the biggest in mental health also, is carrying the weight of family issues, and how we have to move forward with that.
Right. Yeah, family is definitely probably one of the hardest, especially when you've grown up around them and you a certain way, and as you grow, a lot of times them maybe not respecting the growth. I'll put it that way, because they've always seen you as a certain way. So it's hard when you're trying to talk to them, or disagree, or I'm no longer that particular person. You're still you, and you're authentic to you, but you can't say this way, or talk to me a certain way, and it should be the same. You should be offering the same or doing the same for them. But that's like one of the hardest things to do, but the most important, I think, is going back and establishing boundaries with your family, and then just let them know where you are. And look, I always tell them, hey, I love you no matter what. You can't change that. We're family. But it's how they accept the boundaries, and that's on them, not on you. So a lot of times we try, we can go, oh, I feel so bad, I set this boundary, and guilt kind of sets in. Or either they'll try to make you feel bad about setting a boundary, but you got to think about, hey, this boundary or this guardrail is to protect both of us, And so a lot of times I think when family conversations and different things go sideways, if you have those boundaries or those guardrails there, it leaves less room for them to go sideways, or you start the argument or get, sideways with each other. You can kind of cut it off and go, okay, that's the boundary. I don't want to cross it. I
Yep.
respect it. So it's building a really good respect and family, and knowing where to cross and, where I need to leave it alone and stay. So we stay in a good space.
Right.
And it's not always accepted. Sometimes they have to go away, think about it, and kind of grow themselves and set their own boundaries. And then when they realize it and come back, it's like, oh, okay, I understand what you mean.
I understand it.
Yeah.
You said respect, and respect was one of my biggest things. Respect my growth, respect my boundary, respect where I'm at in life right now. So that was all that I had on challenges of mental health.
I was going to ask, so is it received, you think, when you when you implement a lot of these things, how is it received, or does that still weigh on your mental health, or at what point do you kind of get past it and know this is the best thing?
I think doing it with different family members, some people do receive it, some people don't receive it, some people cannot, like, oh yeah, you think you all this, at this point in your life or whatever. And just speaking for myself, I leave them wherever they at, because I'm protecting me, it's about me right now, and I'm protecting myself. So if you do receive it, you receive it, and we can, move forward on those boundaries. And if you don't, I just have to leave you where you are, and you have to accept where I left you, like, or if I'm gonna pick back up on that once you do, like, hey, I understand where you came from or whatever. Yeah, you understand it. I appreciate you understanding it. But for my sake of my mental, this is where I'm leaving it at.
Yeah. And you do have to do that for, like you say, that mental health and those mental reasons. And for me recently, just dealing with something with family, for me, it was so heartbreaking, because you go like, I know we could really be closer and have this good relationship if you were in a place of like healing and understanding, but if they can't, I still respect it, and you have to love them where they are, and give them grace in that area. But that doesn't mean that I'll still let you disrespect me or cross those boundaries.
Right. And like in some cases you be so guarded to be, okay, yeah, you say you understand, so let me let you back in, or you can come back into my circle or whatever. But you have to, like, I don't know, that's where I was at one point, just being guarded, like, I'm looking at you sideways, like, are you gonna try me again? Or are you gonna, overstep that boundary? And once I do see you stepping that boundary, I'm big on communication. Probably I over communicate and want to talk too much about the situation, but it just I'm learning to reel myself back in, and that everybody is not going to be acceptive of, where you are.
To want to communicate that at that space.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody doesn't. And you go, look, I really want to talk about it, and this is my heart. And for me, usually I'll at least say my piece and go, this is my heart, and I hope you see it the same. But if you don't, again, you apologize, but it's not on you to make them see it. They have to see it for themselves.
Right. They do. That's definitely, because if they don't, you always gonna be that friction. That friction. I just to end this, just different ways that I have learned to deal with mental health. Like you said, not going to get your nails done, or out to eat, or even hanging with your friends. More journaling, like writing my thoughts down. Just different ways that you can deal with mental health. Going to talk to someone, therapy. I have learned to do meditation, praying. Also, what are some ways that you can tell everyone to help with mental health and reaching out to get help?
I think it's one important. It's actually a part of valuing you. I think when you really know your self-worth and you value you go, this is worth me doing, because it's making me better, and it's developing me, spiritually and mentally. And then you just it's just a part of really growth and evolving. And so I would encourage any and everybody to seek counsel. Therapy is so important, even if you start small, if it's just like coaching or something like that, because I think when you get into those spaces, you become more aware, and then you
Yeah.
kind of get hungry for, oh, this is helping me, not hurting me. And these people, you find out, one, you have to pick the right person, that you're in a safe space to let your guard down, and
Yep.
then expose some of the things or talk about some of the things that you've been through, or that you've never been able to really talk about with anybody else, the things that were shameful or embarrassing to you, that you get to
Mhm.
get through them and see a different perspective on it. But
Right.
when you don't, all you do is see one perspective or one side of the story, and so you never really get to see what can become of it, as long
Yeah.
as you see your own side of your own pain or trauma or fear and all of the things that you're trying to hold on to, that
Yeah.
you realize, I can't heal these on my own, I need help. And
Yeah.
so we all need help, so just reaching out to get the help that we need. And I promise you, you will love it, or thank whoever encouraged you to do it on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think that's what you're saying, that you have to go out and reach out and be hungry for it, where you be in your own head talking to yourself, and that ain't helping. That ain't helping anything.
Right. I was like, this is when, for me, it was like, oh, this is such a value to me, and makes me more valuable of doing the work and understanding true who I really am.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times we close off those spaces, and we don't if the little girl was wounded or traumatized, a lot of times we kind of lash out, but you don't get to have really good conversations and talk about it without kind of drawing those things out and her healing. And
Right.
so without that healing, you just miss so many things in your life, or even good relationships that you can be in, because either one, you are operating out of that fear or trauma, or
Yep.
shame, embarrassment, whatever it is. And it's not one who you really truly are or was meant to be, because God doesn't want us to be that person. And
Right.
so once you do that work and do the things, you go, oh, not only am I a better person, but I can value myself better and
Yeah.
more, and truly know my worth, and who you are.
Right.
Yeah. And that worth is so important.
I thank you for like answering my questions and having that
Thank
conversation with
you.
me. Mom, were there any questions, or do we have any questions or anything?
Right.
I don't know if you can put them in the chat, or like we're gonna go ahead and start with Tamika, but you can put some questions in the chat. The
I
chat.
don't even see the chat though. Do you see the chat?
If you tap on it, it's
Okay.
like a little. It shows chat comments and all. I think,
Oh,
yeah. Now I can
okay.
figure out how to get back to it.
No, I'm loving this topic that you're on. So what I had was definitely just for like relationships, but I'm really
Hmm.
loving the mental health thing, because I think a lot of times as single ladies, as married ladies, as ladies in general, you're talking about a topic where we don't um take care of ourselves as much as we should mentally,
Correct.
just because a lot of times we haven't been taught that. So going back to learn it and knowing that you are worth your mental health,
Yeah.
and then taking that day, like I say, when I was like, hey, this is the most important thing for me. It's almost like a national holiday every month. Hey, it's mental health day. I'm cutting everybody off, everything. And whether I'm meditating or just spending time with me in a quiet place, like you say, journaling, reading the
Hmm.
word of God, being in a quiet space to see what he's saying back, and just like even being prayerful, and submitting your mental health to God, so
Right.
you can take care of it, because a lot of times our minds wander and go so many places, and we have so many things on our mind, and so it can even the toughest person, like you say, can break. And a
Right.
lot of times we've always tried to be that strong person, or never let them see you sweat, I think it's the saying, or
Yep.
cry, or whatever it is. And so to know, it's so for me, it's okay to be vulnerable, one, and for people to actually see that side of you, I think it helps other people.
It does. And We have a group that we meet up with. It's called She Society.
Mm-hmm.
And we go out to eat, like we do painting, just go out to spend time with one another and just hear
Mm-hmm.
different things that's going on with each other lives and what they're dealing with. And it kind of helps where, oh, okay, well, I've been through that, what you're going through. Let me give you some of this feedback. And
Right.
just honest and transparent and open with our issues.
Mm-hmm.
Me and one young lady was going through the same thing with our daughters, where Madison, my stepmom had passed, and Madison was dealing with the death of her grandma, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Her daughter was going through the same thing, and Madison basically just kind of, hey, I'm done with everything. So I was trying to figure out, you kind of suffer inside when you see your daughter going through, and you want to pull her
Right.
out of it, but get in that direction, like, okay, this is my first experience as a mother with it. How do
Mm-hmm.
I direct my daughter to pull her out,
Right.
of this, like even depression and anxiety, and you have to deal with all of that. And if you don't have nobody to talk to or can
Right.
really depend on people to come together to help you, it's a struggle and you deal with it yourself.
Right. So you were even helping her in her mental state when she was grieving. So just going through that whole grieving process and letting her know it's okay. Because I think
Yep.
even a lot of times we don't get the proper time or the proper empathy or compassion that we should in grieving. And then
Yeah.
and grieving different things, not just death.
Right.
Relationships. You was just talking about a relationship. So grieving relationships and all of the things, giving ourselves that proper time and space to do those things and
Yeah.
really be in those moments, feel those emotions and learn from them, go forward. And like you say, people being around somebody that's experienced that, because experience is the best teacher, and so
Right.
they can kind of help you through the process. So I'm sure your friend or whoever had experienced that, she could give you pointers with talking to your daughter or who you need to take her to maybe to help her through this grieving process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
speaking of that, I was going to ask or talk about this because we're talking about counsel and therapy and stuff for us, but how important it is even for our children.
It definitely. And I had to I know I'm big on therapy and counseling and talking. Like I said, I over communicate.
Right.
And I'm just very expressive. Like I talk with my hands also, but I'm very expressive. But even like I don't know, I put it in with my son, like Maurice has sickle cell. So that took
Mhm.
a lot of me towards him, and that love Madison, with my sister, with her grandma. So that was a lot of time away from each other also. But I still needed to get her help because I'm dealing over here and she like,
Mhm.
you know, could be feeling neglected or
Right.
not wanted. Oh, she put all her attention to her, this child. I'm not getting the attention that I need. So those are different things that, weighs on just being a mother also. But then you're thinking about, oh, well, how my child feel as well. And just reaching out to your kids. I want them to have the right help also, just
Yeah.
as well as my mental having the right health as well.
Right. I always tell my, even since they were younger, I was like, you're going to want to go one, you're going to need it because growing up and you realize as a child, like you said, they don't sometimes their thinking process is different, of
Mm-hmm.
course, definitely from an adult or ours, but you don't know how they are perceiving certain things or processing certain things.
Processing.
And
Yep.
like you said, even though you loved them both the same, you were over here taking care of your son. You don't know how your daughter felt about that, or if she felt
Right.
neglected and stuff like that, and that wasn't your intent. But a lot of things, so many things happen to us when we're younger, and a
Yeah.
lot of times when we get older and kind of go through those things as a parent, we can look back at our parents and go, oh my God, that's what it really was. And now I understand. Of course, not everything, but a lot of things you just get understanding of. And
Right.
then the ones that you don't, you need to. And so when you do go to like therapy and stuff like that, they give you, once again, a different view, a different perspective on it. And you can
Mhm.
kind of understand it better and give your parents some grace, you know? and
Right.
go, oh, they didn't mean anything by it. Either one, they just didn't know. And sometimes they know. It depends on what kind of home you they grew up in, but they couldn't express it towards you the way they wanted to because of what had went on with them. And so
Right.
if they're not healed, it was hard for them to offer you something they didn't have.
Right.
So it's understanding all of those things. Therapy helps you with that, unpacking those things, going, oh, I don't have to be mad or hate my parents or my father for not being there and stuff like that, because you don't know what they went through in their own life and stuff like that. But I always encourage them to tell them, look, and sometimes, they laugh about it or smile. I was like, I want you to go see somebody because I don't know what I did to you. I'm not a perfect parent, right? So I don't know what I might have said or did that's going to traumatize you. And so sometimes we tease about certain things. And one of the things I'm thinking about, since it's October, is Halloween, how they couldn't participate because, that's not our faith, participate in certain things at the school with Halloween. And so my daughter will be like teasing sometimes, like, oh my God, that was traumatic. You're going to need therapy for that, right? And she's like, yes, I think I am. I couldn't trick or treat. I was the only one in the class without a costume. It made me feel a certain way and all of the things. And I was like, whatever you need to do. And guess what? We still don't do Halloween, boo.
Right.
So whatever, but she's grown. If that's something you want to do, hey, that's you. But that's not something I partook in. And so when I'm raising them up, hey, these are the rules in the house. Let me tell you this how we roll. And and you explain it to them, because I didn't just say things. I think a lot of times for me coming up, we got a lot of we didn't get a lot of how or explanation or even
don't ask why, don't ask no
or
questions.
word to explain our belief. And so this is our belief, and let me tell you why this is our belief, and then you can take it from there and do what you want with it.
I definitely think therapy and focusing on their mental health as kids, because even I think I tried out 2 therapists, and the one that I'm still with worked out, but both of them started off with my childhood. Let me tell you, what happened in my childhood, and we just went from there going forward. But definitely with mental health, I want my kids prepared. I want them trained. Hey, it's okay to go talk to someone.
It is.
Definitely okay to go talk to someone.
For me, and I can remember this, my first therapy session I left, I don't know what was going on, but I had a full-on panic attack. I got in the car and I couldn't get maybe 1 block or so, and it was a parking lot for Tropical Smoothie. So I went and sat in there in my car, and I'm like, what is going on? And I just had a breakdown, and it felt like almost a panic attack. And so it took me 2 minutes to get myself together. I was praying, of course, God, what is going on? But I definitely, and it took me a minute because I was like, I don't know if I want to go back, but when you start talking and bringing up so many things, sometimes that does cause anxiety and stuff like that. So you need to know how to deal with it, and don't let it keep you or deter you from going back and dealing with the things. Because a lot of times you can be, oh, this is a bit much, but knowing that it's actually still helping you on the other side versus hurting or harming you. So it's not there to harm you but hurt you. But I just remember that, and I wanted to share, I had a full-on panic attack, and I was like, what is going on? But after the conversation, I realized, hey, I was probably dehydrated too, but I was talking about so many things, and if I was dehydrated, it was because the tears. I cried so much. So when you're crying and you're losing all the water, you like I'm just dry right now and numb. And so it's still important either way how you feel, but you do have to find the right person for you. Yeah.
I would Mom, how much time do we have? I don't know how much time we have on here, but just to
I wish you could join in the conversation.
No, she would have had. We're gonna have to do this again. But I would say, just to close out, taking some stuff that you said, knowing your worth, especially as a woman out here, and how everything is getting crazier. Even the election that we about to get into, when it's right, and just knowing our worth and standing up for our rights also, and believing in ourselves. That's something that I'm definitely working on with myself.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of worth, just because I was having a conversation with my daughter and I told her we're gonna have to talk about this in an open forum or online or something. We were talking about worth at a different space. And so she brought to my attention a lot of times when we talk about it, and I had to go back and think and definitely apologize. One, if I ever tried to make her feel that her worth was based on something other than who she was and who God had made her to be as a woman. And I think if we think about it coming up or growing up, a lot of times it was like you need to do this or be this type of person or woman because of this man. Like
Yeah.
he would like you if you did this, or you're not gonna attract anyone if you don't do this, you don't do that. And so then your sense of worth is built up on someone else's expectation of
Yeah.
you and what they think, versus truly who you are at your core.
Yeah.
And just because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, you are already a jewel,
Right.
regardless of what he thinks. And so I think self-worth a lot of times has to be talked about a little more, and from that aspect versus, if you're still single, that don't mean you're not worthy, or
Worthy.
you're not a woman of worth. And a lot of times people hang those things because I'm still single at a certain age and stuff like that, that their self-worth is not where it should be, regardless. And even being married, all of the things, because my worth is not based on my status, or if I'm single, if I'm married, if I'm a boss chick, or all of the things, I'm rich and poor. It's simply based on the creator and who he has made you to be. And
Right.
so when we get into self-worth, I think that conversation can go a long way, and we can feel better about who we really are and know our worth and be proud of it.
That's something big. That's probably another topic that we can go or we could discuss, knowing our worth, but knowing who we are also. Like you have to know who you are to even move forward. Because if you just lost,
Right.
like you're never gonna find you. You're never gonna find yourself. And I know outside of relationship, um, my first thing when I took my break on relationships was find out what Alexis like and what Alexis wants out of, and what Alexis needs. So I think that would be another good conversation to have, just to
Right.
talk about worth instead of us just out there. I hear a lot of people say that they need to find them a man of why I can't get a man of this and that or whatever. You got
Exactly.
come on, let's take it back to like why you don't have why
Right.
really don't have a man, and that's just working on us and not
Mhm.
just out there putting ourselves out.
Exactly. Yeah. Putting yourself out there, or being even less than what you're worthy of, or you when you know your value, you don't just put yourself out there
Yep.
and want any and everything or anybody, because you truly know, one, who you are, and that
Yeah.
you don't have to be thought of as less than, and you definitely don't have to act less than.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that that'll definitely be good. And I want to like with mom single ladies group, like even my daughter 19, just to give her some of this knowledge that that we're speaking on, just
Right.
bringing some of those ages
Oh,
on.
definitely.
They
Yeah.
need to hear this stuff and to hear what we have experienced and get the wisdom, just to soak in some different things. So
Mhm.
I think that'll be great to invite them on, or get even we can be on a panel and get a 18 or 19, 20-year old to come
Yeah.
in, tell us what they're experiencing also.
Exactly, because a lot of times, like you said, we'll get in there and we'll talk. And so my thing was, because people were talking and stuff like that, and usually she's a little quiet. More,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's quiet, but she can talk. And
Right.
so my thing was, okay, tell me what you would have said, or let me or tell me your point of view or your thoughts on it. And so when she started rattling these things off, I was like, that's really good, because a lot of times, as us being more mature in age, we come from a different generation, so our view is a little bit different when we look on these things. And so when she
Right.
started to explain and go, oh, and you go, what, now that I think about it, when I was young, I was basing value and worth on certain things that I was told versus on who I really was,
Yeah.
And so we just kind of keep up what we've been taught if you don't know any better or if you don't become aware of it. And so when you do, you have to change what you're saying and even what you think about yourself and go back and go like, oh, do I really find value in who I am and know that I'm worthy?
Yeah.
But they definitely need to join the conversation.
What you're saying and even what you think about yourself and go back and go like, oh,
I don't know what you did, Mom, but I think it's replaying what we already talked about.
Yeah, but they definitely need to join the conversation.
Well, Tamika, I'm gonna say good night.
I don't know what you did,
but I enjoyed this conversation, and we can
Oh, could you hear me?
Yeah, we definitely can. It's playing back everything.
I'm sorry. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. Could you really hear me?
Now we can. Yes.
Oh, well, I can't hear me, so I don't know what it is. I can't hear me, so I guess that's why I thought. I'm saying that I think it's time now for us to get in brick and mortar, have a session now, because I think it's getting real serious now for us to be able, and especially when you said about other age groups of medicine and Shay being part of and having like a panel discussion, have, a talk, let's talk session. And so we have gotten up to 102 women's where we still can go in brick and mortar and still go live at the same time. So nobody miss anything. We don't want them to miss anything. And one of the things I would love to do is, for some reason, to really get these women, we got 102 women's that's part of Single Ladies Academy, but finding a way to get them engaged in what it is that we're doing and what it is that we're saying, because I think it's very important just not to be part of something. And that's pretty much in a nutshell also what you were saying, is just being part of something, but not being active in what you are part of. And I think it's a serious time now that if you're going to be part of something, you need to get involved, because we have professional people in this group. I'm talking about professional people in this group. We have all type of women's in this group, and with this group where they can be utilized to be able to help expand what it is that we're doing. This has been absolutely wonderful to me. Y'all can hear me, and I can only hear myself here, but you all can hear me. But y'all, the conversation that you all have, I have Stephanie, she's one of my babies that belong to another Reformation and everything. Stephanie, and we have some more people that maybe come in and come out, but don't really know that if, we don't stick to something. And that's one of the things that we need to know, that we got to at least learn to stick to something. But Facebook is used to going in and going out, going in and going out. But sometimes these conversations that we are having is very important, because you all brought out some great points. I guess it was good that I shut my mouth so y'all can say really what need to have been said, and you carried it out so well. You carried it out so well, and it blessed me. It blessed me. Yeah, I wanted to come in and say, hey, could I say something right now? But not knowing that you can hear me. But I think it's time that we move forward. Now, I seen my son was on here. He was saying, hey, ladies, but I don't know whether y'all saw him or not.
I did.
But he was saying, hey, ladies. And he's the strategist for Single Ladies Academy. Boy, when I tell you he's a strategist, he been too busy to get on me lately. So thank you. But listen, we are going somewhere. We are going somewhere to healing emotionally, psychologically, mentally, and physical. We are going somewhere. And if you listen, we're not just doing these shows because Alexis really didn't feel well enough, but she sacrificed. And see, and that's something that we're going to have to learn how to do, is sacrifice for someone else when you say, hey, well, this is not about me. This is about one person. It may just be that one person that have heard something tonight that has totally revolutionized their life to make them want to have change. So I just want to say that. I'm gonna go back to hushing, and y'all can end wrap it up. But we are going to get together. We're going to go ahead and find a place where we can finally have, Tamika and Alexis are very well at what's the word? Getting social events and having things, and it's not going to listen, and it's not going to be a normal thing. So don't come looking for the church scene.
Yeah.
The church scene, because what we're doing is we're trying to reach everyone.
Right.
Everyone. And I just want to also let you know we had our first yesterday. I had someone to reach out to me because of Single Ladies Academy, and because they have heard, they read what we was about. They reached out to me about a lady that was homeless and needed help, and did we have information to be able to get help for that mother and her kids. So right away, I did know someone, and so that family has gotten help because of Single Ladies Academy, and this is what it's about.
Right.
All right, I turn it back over.
I agree. I just want to say one of the things that Mom was talking about is important, and definitely in this season here. And I know we're in the fourth quarter of the year, and I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks a goal setting workshop. And so I hope you're able to join or either pass the word, but it's commit. And when she was talking about what we don't do or know how to do is commit to things. So we'll write our name on the list or sign up for things, and then we aren't truly committed to it. So we don't know how to commit to the obligations or the things that we say we're gonna be committed to. And so I think it says something sometimes about our character, but if we're not accountable or called out on it, a lot of times we just kind of let it go, but it's time for people to call us out on it. And then if it's too much or you have too many things to do, then you're going to have to just be honest and go, okay, I'm going to have to uncommit to some of these things or let some of these things go. But the ones I definitely sign up for or give someone my word and say I'm going to do it or help or be committed to it, be there and do that.
Right.
Be that person. So I just wanted to add that about being committed. And this is definitely the season in this upcoming year, 2025. We need to be committed to something, and the things that we already said that we were going to commit to, that we actually are there and we're doing the things deliberately. So the definition of that is to carry into action deliberately. So we need to put those things into action and be deliberate about them.
Awesome.
And so I'm done talking for tonight. I love you guys, and thanks for having me on again, Mom, on the Single Ladies Academy.
Thank you, Mom.
All right, and I hope you feel better, Alexis.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Though.
Good night.
Good night.